So we're familiar with the idea of land junk, right? Pieces of garbage floating in the water and on the ground. But there's also junk floating in outer space. It's a growing problem, and one company is trying to do something about it. So joining us now is Stuart Bain, President and CEO of North Star Earth and Space. Good morning, Stuart, and thank you for being here. Man, humans really have not left anything, right, when it comes to junk. So first of all, tell us a little bit about where does space junk actually come from?
Well, it comes from basic use. As we use space, we need to get into space with rockets. We need to use the satellites that are up there, and they have a certain amount of life associated with them. The rocket's life is over once its mission is accomplished, which is deliver the object to its orbit, and then it's left behind. And the satellite then, once its life is over, drifts through space. So if you wanted to make an analogy, imagine you're driving down the highway, and everything that's ever happened on that highway is still there.
Oh my
if
gosh.
there was an accident, if there was anything thrown out the window, it's still there, and you're navigating through it. But the only difference is in space, it's all moving through its own orbit. But
wow, that is a
collection.
powerful but a very disturbing visual that you just painted, but you nailed it. How much space junk would you say is actually out there? We just saw a visual there where it looked like little white ants all around planet Earth, but what sort of challenges does it create, and like how much junk are we talking?
So the beautiful thing about asking questions about space is you go quickly into science and mathematics. It's a large number, it's statistical, and it's relatively moving, but there are commissions that have been done on calculating how many pieces of space junk there are there. So when we go into different categories of sizes, 1 centimeter and lower, so little bits of, if you want to call them almost dust particles, we're talking over 100 million. Particles between around 10 centimeters, between 1 and 10 centimeters, and 10 centimeters being the size of your clenched fist, you're talking about 1 million.
Wow.
And then you're talking larger objects in the tens of thousands when you're talking about a defunct satellite and things like that. So navigation is important.
Everyone's mouth in here is like, we're all like, we've got a mouth drop right now. Your company began creating satellites in 2020, not too long ago, to monitor space debris. So tell us more about your work and the work that you're doing and why it's so important for the economy.
Our world's economy relies on space. As Adam Jonas said at Morgan Stanley, space is existential to our existence and to our economy. GPS, which supports all of our movement and your location, Uber, skip the dishes, you name it, anything you want to do, you're using GPS. Financial transactions, the atomic clocks on the GPS machine record and timestamp every financial transaction. So our entire economy pay it at the location or point of purchase. That's all stamped through satellite communications and satellite equipment through the GPS. You've also got general communications that run through satellites. So everything that we do every day, and then we monitor climate change, we monitor the Earth, we use satellites for Earth observation, monitor the environment, monitor crops. That's all done through satellites. So it's very important. What do? We monitor it from space. So monitoring something from the ground, you're essentially waiting for it to fly overhead wherever you are. Whereas if you're looking at it from space and from multiple satellites from space, you're getting a perspective and you're seeing things multiple times during one orbital pass, which gives you a much more accurate assessment of where the object is. So the map that gets created of where the objects are and how to avoid them is much more precise.
Oh, wow. That is a very interesting perspective to do it from space instead of from land. What do you think corporations and government need to do on this issue as well? How can they all get on board?
That's a great question, and it doesn't really change too much. We all should do and play to our strengths. Governments need to do what governments do best, which is, establish a policy, establish regulations, get people moving internationally, and entrepreneurs and innovators should do what they do best, which is come up with solutions and come up with innovations quickly and make them available commercially, and then cooperate with the government to make sure it gets diffused. And the new step, I would say, in the evolutionary process of society, if you think about society 1.0, where we're hunter-gatherers, hunters and then industrial revolution. And now we're in society 5.0, where humans are at the center of a information-based society. And in that context, it's really using information and driving that to get to an answer. So working with governments, making the information available, we all work cooperatively. It's co-opetition now, because we have to get out in front of the problem. We can't let the problem fully mature before we actually bring the solution.
Well, speaking of solutions, Stuart, that sounds like exactly what your company has done. So we wish you all the success with that. This is a very fascinating conversation that I think will keep going. Stuart, thank you so much for your time this morning.
It's been a real pleasure. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.